I'd like to welcome you to the PyData meetup, last meetup before the summer break. The next one will be held probably September, October. And this meetup can be organized thanks to our partners, thanks to our friends from PricewaterhouseCoopers. So thanks a lot. They won a beer today. We're going to have three presentations. So our first speaker is Rudradeb from WhatsApp. No, WhatsApp. ThinkUp.
Well, besides other companies also.
And Rudradeb is going to share with us a speech about ecosystem around machine learning in Silicon Valley, and tell us that this is not only Google and Facebook, but there are other companies doing machine learning there. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for the brief introduction, and also Piotr for is that a hello? Yeah. Okay. I'll just use this for giving the opportunity to give talk here. It doesn't work, it seems, so I'll just put it here.
It's for
works. Okay, cool. Okay. So that's my name and that's my LinkedIn. Just give a reference. So I think before I give a talk, of course, I want to introduce about myself, or what I have been doing and who am I. So I have been an AI researcher primarily. I have published 10 papers on various topics like document understanding, semantic web generation, languages. And then I went on to do my master's from Cambridge in 2010. And since then, I have been an entrepreneur. I have built 6 companies. 2 of them failed. Quite proud about them. And yeah, I'm currently a founder member or a co-founder of 3 startups. And yeah, I've also, and they all 3 are into the machine learning group. We are doing something around machine learning. And I'm also at the same time, I mentor startups. I'm a mentor of Founder Institute and a Mighty Enterprise. So I'm closely connected with the startup ecosystem as well as machine learning. So that perhaps gives me some expertise to talk about things that I want to talk about today. So, I mean, I know this is a technical meetup, and I know most of you guys are perhaps programmers, but I thought it would be a good idea to give a non-technical talk, to talk about more on the application side, that what all things are happening in this ecosystem, and what opportunities that are going to be there in the next 5 to 10 years, and where I think that the world of this ecosystem would move. So to start with that, I'll talk about 5 startups. They are in 3 different verticals, and then I will try to see what these startups are doing, what kind of things that are being used by startups. But this is also the Facebook and Google are also kind of fit into this question that I've asked is, are the current approaches that are being used in machine learning really intelligent? Are we really thinking about intelligence? And then I'll talk about 2 startups that are actually doing things in a bit different way, which I think are the real intelligence, and that will come in future. And again, finally, I conclude my talk where I say about what would be the future would be about. So these 5 startups, they come from 4 countries, US, Canada, Israel, and Belgium. One of the startups is actually, I'm a founder member of one of the startups, so that would, and I have, so these are not, this is not people that I've done a research, these are the founders or the senior management that I have, or my team has directly spoken with. And we are actually running a series of interviews, so they are all in that link. So the first vertical that I want to talk about is using machine learning to identify human emotions. This is quite an interesting field because this is the place where if you can understand what people feel, you can give them a very personalized information to them. So this company, Effectiva, and they are trying to understand human emotions through facial, through the face, like different features in the face. They recently raised around 15 million, I think, yeah, 14 million, and they were featured in TechCrunch on 25th of May, so like a few days ago. So what they do is they take a picture, and then they identify the face, the place exactly where the face is, and they have some key points in the face. So in this picture, you could see that they have some dots around the nose, around the lips, and around the eyes. And then based on the positions of those points, they measure what is the movement of the facial those points are. So if someone is smiling, you could see that the points separation, the gradient between those 2 points would define in a different way than someone who is sad or someone who is angry. And then they use these facial expressions to emotions. So basically, if someone is smiling, in this case, you could see the guy smiling, 100% smile and 100% joy. And to achieve that, they have a database of over 4 million faces. And these faces come from 75 countries. Now, this is quite interesting because when you are talking about understanding facial features, different people from different cultures also express different emotions differently. So perhaps a Polish person smiling is not the same as a Japanese person smiling. So you really have to make that across 75 countries. And I read it somewhere that when I was talking to this guy, their marketing head, she said they have over 50 billion cases. Now that's the biggest anyone has in the world in terms of facial data with expressions. Now, where they want to go? They basically want to make this API public. So tomorrow, any of your developer can take the API and build upon that interesting applications. So that's the first company. The second one is beyond verbal. So they are also trying to understand human emotions, but using voice. So how someone is talking about. So this is a company based from Israel. And they have 1.6 million voice samples from 170 countries. And that's even more difficult problem because in a facial expressions, you may somehow about cultures. Now it's about countries and voices as accents come in and different types of talks. And it's even more complex. And they actually, they have 8 granted patents. So it's kind of doing a lot of work on the research. And the way they work it, basically is the same concept. They have some pre-labeled voice data. And once they see, okay, this data, this is the voice. If this is something like this, it means he's angry, like that. And then when they get a new voice, they basically try to identify the patterns and then say, okay, this is the chance of him being angry or something like that. And their main source is, again, the high quality data. They have like so much of data that they basically could run deep learning, machine learning algorithms. So what are the applications? I mean, it's obvious in some ways. So for one of the cases that they would do is to Siri, if you're saying play a music. Now Siri doesn't know whether you are happy, you are sad, what kind of music you want to listen. So imagine with this type of applications, you just say play a music and it knows you want to listen to, I don't know, happy. You're happy, so play some, I don't know, romantic music or whatever. So their future is also based on, they want to also make the API available and people could use the API for different applications. One of the cases that they are talking about is where they are actually focusing a lot more is on medical applications. So they are trying to see if based on your voice, they can somehow know what disease you have or they can identify a certain level of your conditions, which is, I think, a challenging thing, but we'll see. So the second vertical that I've chosen is cars and vehicles. Again, a very interesting space. As you know, Google and Apple and everyone is going into this industry. And all are talking about automated industries and things like this. So how this space will be evolving, and there's a lot of machine learning will come. If you read, I think Apple said that in future, Apple recently bought a company in China, and they are basically into basically car sharing. And why Apple is going to that? And Apple is even making their own cars because for Apple, car is basically a media. It's no more just a car. It's actually a media. it will be machines and data. So that's a very interesting direction, which gives a lot of opportunities for companies to do something around it. So I picked two companies. One is Pretect. So I spoke with the co-founder and the CEO of it. It's a Tennessee-based startup. Tennessee is in the States. And what they're trying to do is predict vehicle breakdown. So before your vehicle breaks down, they want to tell you that your vehicle is going to break down. Now, how they do that? They have data. They see what are the data or what are the certain patterns or behaviors that happens before a car breaks down. And then they try to use that data to predict, okay, if there is similarity of that, they will know, okay, this vehicle is going to break down. Now, their use case is biggest is trucks. They are focusing mostly on trucks because the cost of a truck breaking down and then fixing it and then bringing it back to repair is quite high. So for them, it's a very good use case, and they already have started with 800 trucks, and they have in pipeline around 30,000 trucks. And their vision is, they actually said it, is to make vehicle breakdown a thing of the past. So no car ever breaks down ever. Everyone would know before that a car is going to break down, so fix it before it does. Quite interesting. So that's the company I'm a founding member, based in Belgium. And what we currently do is we analyze driver behavior, so how someone is driving. And based on how someone is driving, we try to incentivize him to drive better. So we give you an example. Someone is, we know, driving in Belgium, say from Ghent to Antwerpen. He drives in the morning. I know he's driving this way, he's driving well. Give him a morning coffee for free and ask him to drive better. So he's driving better on a reward, which is very suited for him. And why is that relevant? Because for insurance companies, it's very, very important. A car insurance company needs to reduce the risk and increase higher engagement. Now, they have no way to do that. With these type of things, they can identify the drivers who are high risk, incentivize them to drive better, and reduce their risk. So we launched in December. We have an application, and we already have over 2 million driving data kilometers. So we can do some interesting analysis of those. Now, where do we want to go to the future is basically predict accidents. Now, that's an interesting direction because 80% of accidents happen by people who are newcomers. So there is no way you would know that people who are doing accidents are going to accident again. So 80% are people who have never done an accident. So how do you predict someone doing an accident if you don't know that he has ever done it? So there comes an aspect of social media data and group behavior. So if you are able to, it's very hard to identify one person who is going to make an accident, but if you make them in a group, and if you see this, let's say in a friend circle, and you see these 10 people have the similar behavior, they are driving bad on a Friday evening, then it's much higher likelihood that one of those guys will make an accident. But if you see that this guy maybe once drove bad on Friday evening and the rest of his friends are driving well, the chances of him driving bad or making an accident is quite low. But this has been actually proven. So kind of bringing social media data with their driving pattern and try to relate to machine learning and learn that how could we relate to someone driving. And the third vertical that I want to talk about is vehicle, it's document understanding, but in terms of legal. So this company, Beagle, so we spoke with the founder. They are basic Canadian startup. They were one of the most innovative startup in XW. And what they do is when we read a legal document, we often miss out the most important things. And there's hundreds and thousands of pages. Most people even don't read them. They don't know what to do. So there they actually identify the most interesting points in the legal document. And then they highlight those which they say you need to read. And they again do that based on they read the patterns of legal documents. They know what you want, what you should read, learns your behavior while reading on other legal documents, and then kind of suggests you. And their way they want to expand this to basically understanding any form of document. Medical records, could be engineering reports, any form of document that you don't have to read it, the full document. It will just tell you what you should exactly know or need to know or what you want to know. So I went around these few startups, which I think are quite innovative, which are doing something really interesting in this machine learning field. But when you look at all of this, move back a bit, and you look at all of these startups, there's one common thing that you see in all these previous startups, and includes Facebook's and the Google and every other company. I don't know if I can, does anyone can see a common pattern in all these companies?
Machine learning.
Yeah, machine learning, yes, but something more.
They need more data.
Exactly, a huge amount of data. That's the biggest problem. It's a huge amount of data. You need millions and millions of cases. Any company which has billions of data, they can do it. I mean, first of all, this is not possible. Like Facebook can do it, but that's not how basically humans learn. I mean, if you think how we learn as humans, do we learn, like this is a very interesting example, that if you show someone 100 pictures of cat, and then the person learns that, okay, this is a cat, you will not call that person intelligent. You will actually call that person stupid. Because you don't need to see 100 pictures to know that's a cat. I mean, you need to know like perhaps 3 pictures or 2 pictures, and then you'll know that's a cat. But the current approaches of machine learning, deep learning, they all rely on this huge amount of data. Now, it's okay if it works, but the problem here is that you don't have that kind of data. Why you don't have data? I mean, how many fields you can create that type of data? And imagine if you have to teach an autonomous vehicle. You cannot teach him by making mistakes. You cannot make the autonomous make accidents, and then you feed him with all the wrong data. So you cannot basically do it by mistake. You have to learn it by doing some other things. So here I want to bring 2 startups that are actually exactly doing what I said. They are in stealth mode, so normally you cannot read about them, and you don't necessarily hear about them. But so one of them is called Geometric Intelligence. This is a startup. They are based in the Valley. Well, I think they're based in the Valley, but the professor is in NYU, and another professor from Cambridge. And what they are saying is basically how humans learn is that we abstract out concepts. So we are not, basically if you show us 3 pictures, in this case, let's say 3, and that's taken from cognition theory, that how humans think. So these are all theories that are based on cognition theory, which is like 10, 15 years old. It's just that they haven't been applied in computer science. So if you see how these 3, 4, and then they abstract out at a higher level and say, okay, this is how a tree would look. And then when they get a new information, they try to relate to that kind of abstracted knowledge. That's how humans think. I mean, if you see a 3 cat or 4 cats, then a child would know, okay, a cat is a kind of something which is not like biggest dog, which has certain features, which has 4 legs. Okay, this is an abstracted view of the cat, so it will know when the 4th picture shows it that it's a cat. And yeah, I mean, for example, I gave this example, which they also talk about, is that you don't need to know or see 100 pictures of truck to know something is a truck. If you know an abstract level of a concept that a car, there is a car which has some know-how. We learn the car through images, and then you know, okay, something which is bigger like a car could be a truck. That's an abstract knowledge that you gain, and so the moment you get another truck picture, you know, okay, that's a truck. And so these actual algorithms, like one-shot or zero-shot learning, these are like you have only one shot or no shot to learn them. So basically, these algorithms use something like abstracted knowledge VO and then do that. And the second company is Viserius. I don't know if anyone has heard this company. They actually raised $75 million, which is a lot of money to do something they haven't even done anything for the last 2 years. And they are funded by Elon Musk. They have a very good range of investors. The only thing that they have done in the last 2 years, 2 years ago they did that, they basically broke human captcha, and which is a simple problem in a way. But they did that with their kind of learning algorithms, which is basically tries to understand that how humans learn from experiences, and then we try to make predictions. So we see certain, for example, experiences in terms of which are causal effects. Like this is cause, this is effect. This is a cause, this is an effect. And then we see a new cause or something, and we try to predict that, okay, this is perhaps going to be like that. So, like they have this question, and this is called the most secretive AI startup, so I don't know much about it. I haven't spoken to their founder, so I have no idea, but that's the best that I could know about this company. But I think what they're doing and why they got so much money, because even if they end up solving this problem in the next 3 years or 4 years, they still will solve a huge problem that's like no one else is doing it. And the founder actually said, there was an interesting article that came up on MIT, and said that he's going to launch something this year, so we'll see. So this gives you guys, I mean, I just wanted to give you our overall where we are in terms of machine learning, what companies, startups are doing, and what the future startups might look like. So here is my guess and what I think would happen. That what machine learning in the current algorithms, even the existing algorithms, gives us a lot of new opportunities. So you could pick up any vertical. Take up a vertical, could be intent across things, and just add a machine learning layer on top of that, on the existing top tools. And then you will end up creating a product, which would be used. So you don't have to, and this is doable by anyone. If you guys are programmer, just pick a vertical. There's so much opportunities. There's so much things you could do. And I think it's an exciting time to build a startup. Just add a layer of intelligence on top of it. Now, in 4 to 5 years, what I think would happen that these cognitive science-based theories will come in, and there will be algorithms which truly are intelligent, which are thinking like humans, which would act like humans, which will understand that. And then I think in 10 years around, there will be autonomous vehicles which will really understand what you feel, what you want, what predicts. It will be able to predict everything. So I think it's an exciting time for developers to build something. There's a lot of opportunities in this field. And yeah, I finished my talk with a picture of the Google autonomous vehicle. And I think you guys should go and build something great. And yeah, I'm always happy to meet over coffee. So thanks a lot.
Do you have any questions for the guest?
Okay, I can take the questions.
Yeah.
These applications are proof of concept or running application of production?
Which one are you saying?
Which first about facial recognition, emotions, and
They have an open. I think they have an open API which you could use. So there are some of those are actually still already running, and you can use them, test them.
and suppose I want to start startup, and I need data. How can I collect this data?
So you mean using their APIs, or you're talking about your own?
My own project, and without the API, but I want to collect data for some machine learning.
Well, that's the biggest challenge in a machine learning thing, that you have to gather the data. It depends on which. I mean, if you have some idea of what application that you want to do, I can give my suggestions. But yeah, that's a challenge.
And what do you think about open artificial intelligence by Musk? Because
The OpenAI.
Yeah, OpenAI.
Yeah, I think. I mean, he's a smart person. He's going to build something. I think. Yes.
Maybe cool.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
More questions? Okay.
You've mentioned about the problem of identifying human emotions based on face images or some sound signals. Could you give us any more information about the methodology behind the idea itself? I mean, I assume probably it's a classification problem. For instance, when we talk about the human voice recognition, is it indeed a classification problem? And could you give us any more information about the classification method or feature extraction method? Which technique appeared to be most useful in your study?
So, I mean, yes, it is a classification problem, to be honest. So, but problem is that different cultures, different countries, different accent, that brings the whole problem much difficult. In terms of what algorithms they're using, I don't know, to be honest, because they are not going to publicly tell those things. So they have only would tell what they would give you, but they don't. These are proprietaries of these startups. Normally, I don't have access to this, so I don't know what works for them. Yeah, but it is a classification problem. find those things. But challenge is about the data. So the biggest problem with the existing things is someone who has the data is the king. And I don't think these algorithms are complex, actually. They are using standard algorithms. It's just that they have access to those data. So because the Beyond Verbal is an MIT startup. And they have access to over like 1.6 billion, not the Beyond Verbal, I think the phase one is an MIT startup, and they have over 50 billion images. Now, if I give you those kind of data to any of you, I'm pretty sure most of you will be able to build that kind of tool. I don't think it's the complexity is in the algorithms, it's more on the data side. So, yeah.
Who was labeling the data? You were, especially for the two first startup you were talking about, with billions pictures, billions sound recordings. Do you know something? If it was labeled manually or this?
How they got the data?
No, how they labeled the data?
How they label the data?
The data with the machine learning?
No. You cannot label with the machine learning because you have to apply on the machine. So yeah, I presume it's done by manually. People have labeled that.
So they hired people
or people have themselves tagged. Like what Facebook does is people tag themselves, right? So people are doing that. Crowdfunding, people do that, and then they use that. Yes. You cannot assume 50 billion pictures to be done by a human. That's not impossible. So again, it's people, like, they themselves done that.
Why those values made by a foreign service like Mechanical Turk?
Again, I would not think that you will do that in Mechanical Turk. I think this is MIT's, let's say in the first case, their own research, right? So they might have either collected the data from Facebook, they might have collected those data from Google, they might have access to those kind of companies, and they have collected data from those. I don't presume that you could do that to Mechanical Turk 50 billion pictures. I mean, that's not possible. So I think these people might have access to those companies who have shared the data. They might have some share. I mean, these are all confidential information, which normally they will not say that, and I don't have access, to be honest. But I would presume that they're using a lot of social media data, which is already there, and gathering the data somehow, perhaps taking with Facebook. Maybe they have links, And most of these investors, I mean, often these investors, how they raise $15, $14 million is basically the investors are, also have investors of, let's say, I don't presume Facebook, but maybe some of those investors in other social media. So they basically share the data.
Invest through data.
Yeah.
Basically. Any more questions? One more.
Hello, I'm interested in this emotion recognition based on voice. Does it work? I mean, what level of accuracy?
Yeah, it works. You can actually check the API is open. So you can go and check Google the website and you can do that. It's already open.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know it is possible.
No, it is.
Because
it's already
it's
there.
Very difficult for men.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like a good enough. Probably very popular. One more question from my side. If you can share any, or not any, but the craziest way to collect the data you've heard.
We would do a hack, right? So like a kind of create some, I have to think, let's say talk about it, you give an example and I can think of something now. Can you give an example? Like which data that you want to collect, let's say?
I was rather thinking about a startup that's already on, but collect the data in the most crazy way. Maybe not sharing the free app, but I don't know, connecting something in a toilets or something like that.
I don't know, I mean, you can hack certain things in the Facebook data which are publicly available. You might be able to get hacks from those and pull those data up. And then see people's tagging, let's say in the face recognition. Then people tag, right? Happy things, if you can identify certain words. So you're not kind of creating your own data, you're basically hacking the data from the web. Maybe that would be a way, I don't know. I mean, in our case, for the Belgian company, we basically give away the app as a free and created some incentives for people to use it. So we're giving away free movie tickets and giving away free, I don't know, football matches tickets and things like that.
So basically your words.
Yeah, we just gave away, exactly. And people then started using the app, and in 4 months we have almost 2 million plus kilometers driven. So we have the data.
Okay, so you have to give something for free.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. that's you have to, yes.
Okay.
But it's interesting. One comment I'll say is that it's very interesting because normally people think that privacy is a big concern. Now, what we have seen in Belgium is much more conservative in terms of privacy. Yeah? But what we have seen is people don't care about privacy. At the end of the day, really, they don't care. If you give them something free, they're very happy to give you their data. So it's about giving them something free, and they will give you your data.
Exactly. Loyalty programs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks so much for sharing this
Cool.
view on the startup market. And I think we should change that over beer. Yeah, and you have a chance to talk to Rudradeb Mitra after all the talks, on our after party with beer in your hand.
Cool.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thanks.